Okay, so we had a little bit of snow yesterday. I think we got somewhere around 1 or 2 inches. So I did not come out to read with the girls because I just didn't. So I'm gonna read today. I did get a couple new books yesterday as well. I'm gonna read a couple more chapters in our Unicorn Princesses, and then I also have a book called How to Catch a Unicorn. So we're going to read that one as well. I am going to ask Serenity to give me just a teensy bit more space today because she has been getting a little bit pushy with her face. And while it's sometimes adorable, she gets a little bit too much so. Okay. And I also decided I was going to grab Lady because I need my audience and sometimes they get bored and decide to walk away. So I have Lady with her halter on, Serenity who's pestering me behind. So, first we are going to do, like I said, a couple more chapters from Sunbeam Shine. I believe we are up to, excuse you. Hi. Okay, so we are up to chapter 5 in Sunbeam Shine. This is Unicorn Princesses Sunbeam Shine by Emily Bliss. Chapter 5. Outside the glass door, Sunbeam trotted along a path of clear, shining stones that led away from the castle and toward a thick pine forest. For a moment, Cressida turned and looked behind her at Spiral Palace. She knew right then how it had gotten its name. The princess's home was shaped like a giant, white, glittering unicorn horn and spiraled up toward the sky. Wow, Cressida whispered. As soon as they were out of sight of the palace, Sunbeam ran faster and reared up, laughing as she jumped and played. Okay, another note for kids. When your horse rears up, it is not fun. It is not entertaining or enjoyable. And it is quite often a very rude behavior that we do not want our horses to do. So do not listen to this. You don't want your horse to play and rear, especially if you don't have a saddle. But in general, you really just don't want it. So anyway, getting back to the book. Whoa, Cressida yelled, wrapping her arms around Sunbeam's neck. But she couldn't help giggling as Sunbeam danced in circles. Don't let Flash get to you, Sunbeam said. She's way too serious. There's plenty of time to have fun today, even while we're searching for my yellow sapphire. The princess sped up and leaped over a pine tree that had fallen across the path. I'm just excited to be out of that hot, stuffy palace with that silly harp music and those smelly candles. Okay, one more note for you kids. Jumping the first time that you've ever been on a horse, or the second time you've ever been on a horse. Terrible, terrible idea. Do not listen to this book. It is full of terrible ideas. Sunbeam whinnied as she jumped over several more fallen trees. Yeah, because that's safe. Then she began to gallop, and for several minutes Sunbeam raced along a narrow, winding forest path. Finally, she slowed down, probably because she almost lost her rider more than once. We're almost to the Glitter Canyon, she announced. Sure enough, the forest was getting thinner with fewer and fewer trees. Close your eyes, Sunbeam called out. I can't wait for you to see the canyon. You're going to love it. Cressida shut her eyes. She felt Sunbeam speed up, and she tightened her grip on the unicorn's mane. Suddenly, the air felt much cooler, as though Sunbeam had just walked into a refrigerator. Cressida shivered. Okay, now you can look, Sunbeam called out, her voice high with excitement. Cressida opened her eyes and sucked in her breath. She and Sunbeam stood on the edge of a beautiful purple canyon. At the top were towers of gigantic plum-colored rocks, patches of lavender grass, fields of violets and pebbles that looked like silvery grapes. Down at the bottom of the canyon were clusters of cacti in every shade of purple Cressida could imagine, and sand that looked just like the purple glitter she used in arts class at school. Cressida had never seen so much purple in her life. Welcome to the Glitter Canyon, Sunbeam sang. It's my very own part of the Rainbow Realm. Sunbeam kneeled down and Cressida slid off her back. "This is incredible," Cressida said. "It's the most beautiful place I've ever seen." Back. Back. Space. It's the final frontier. "It's even more beautiful when the sun is in the sky," Sunbeam said, sighing. "And it's much, much warmer. You'll be amazed by how gorgeous it looks once you find my yellow sapphire and then I can make the sun come out." That's when Cressida noticed there was something strange about the light in the canyon. The purple sand didn't shine, even though it looked like glitter. The cacti didn't have any shadows, and the light seemed dim, as though it were a cloudy day, even though the sky was completely clear. Cressida looked up at the sky. The sun was missing. No wonder it was so cold. Cressida shivered and rubbed her arms. She wished she had brought her winter coat. Just then, Sunbeam ran forward, danced in a circle, and said, "Come on, let's go down to the bottom of the canyon. We can start looking for the yellow sapphire there." Cressida and Sunbeam walked together along a path that led to the bottom of the canyon. Lizards, turtles, and frogs the color of grape jelly climbed and hopped on the towers of rocks, and light purple parakeets perched in the branches of silvery purple trees. As they hiked, Cressida felt a sudden burst of heat, and then something small and red scampered across the path and disappeared behind a rock. At first, Cressida thought it was a chipmunk, but when it crossed the path again, this time closer to Cressida and Sunbeam, Cressida could see it looked just like a red and orange candle flame with flailing arms, legs, and a tail. This is the fun little creature that just crossed their path. All right. "Yikes!" Cressida called out. "What is that?" "Oh, that's a flame bite," Sunbeam said. "Just make sure it doesn't touch you, and make sure you don't drop any roinkleberry seeds on the ground. Flame bites love roinkleberry seeds so much they'll follow you around for days hoping you'll feed them." The flame bite darted behind a bush with plum-colored leaves, and then it scampered out right in front of Cressida and Sunbeam. It shrieked and scurried in circles, so its arms, legs, and tail danced in every direction. Cressida jumped backward. She shielded her eyes from the flame bite's bright light, beads of sweat forming on her forehead from the flame bite's heat. "Shoo!" Sunbeam said. "Go away!" The flame bite screeched and ran away. "They're not dangerous, but they sure are annoying," Sunbeam said. "At least they go away as soon as you tell them to." As soon as the flame bite left, the cold returned. Cressida shivered and hoped the bottom of the canyon would be warmer. Chapter 6. By the time Sunbeam and Cressida hiked to the bottom of the canyon, Cressida was so cold her teeth were chattering. "It's pretty chilly," Cressida said, touching her arms, which were covered in goosebumps. "You don't have a coat I could wear, do you?" Sunbeam said. "Unicorns don't really wear coats, so I don't have one for you to borrow. Some of my sisters like to wear capes, but the Glitter Canyon is usually so hot that I don't have one. Not that it would fit you anyway." Just then, out of the corner of her eye, Cressida saw something the color of egg yolks amid all the purple. She turned, and there, hanging on a lavender cactus, was a furry yellow jacket and yellow boots with a fuzzy lining. Both were exactly the color of Sunbeam. "Look at that," Cressida said. She and Sunbeam walked over. On the jacket hung a sign that said, "Dear Cressida, thank you for your help. Sincerely, Ernest." "Ernest?" Cressida said, hurriedly putting on the coat. "That's the wizard lizard, right?" "Yes," Sunbeam said. "I bet he meant to make the coat and boots purple, and they came out yellow." They both giggled. Cressida took off her blinking unicorn sneakers and put on the yellow boots. "How do I look?" she asked. She twirled around in a circle. Fabulously yellow, Sunbeam exclaimed, but still not quite as yellow as I am. Cressida felt much warmer now that she had her coat and boots. Well, she said, eyeing the rocks and sand and cacti, I guess we better start searching for your sapphire. Where have you already looked? Sunbeam blushed and glanced down at her hooves. The truth is, I haven't started. I just don't even know where to begin. It could be anywhere. Cressida nodded. She looked at the stretch of purple sand in front of them, and the mounds of purple rocks, and the clusters of purple cacti. There must have been millions of cracks, crannies, and crevices where a yellow sapphire could be hidden. She could see exactly what Sunbeam meant. It was hard to decide where to begin. Stay with me, young lady. Cressida took a deep breath. She knew from doing school assignments that the only way to finish a big project was to do a little bit at a time. Let's start by searching down here at the bottom of the canyon. Why don't you go over there and use your hooves to look through the sand? Cressida pointed to a stretch of sand next to several scraggly purple pine trees. And I'll go over here and sift through the sand with my hands. Cressida pointed to a stretch of sand on the other end of the canyon next to several cacti. Sounds good, Sunbeam said. She trotted over to the pine trees and began to dig with her hooves and nose. Cressida walked over to the cacti and sat down in the purple sand. It felt cold through her jeans, and she was grateful that the wizard lizard had thought to make a warm coat and boots magically appear. Cressida grabbed a handful of sand and let it slide through her fingers. Then she grabbed another handful and another. Just then, she thought she heard a noise that sounded like chuckling. She stopped and looked around. She didn't see anyone. Maybe it was the desert wind, Cressida thought. She shrugged and grabbed another handful of sand. She heard the laugh again, but this time the same voice said, "Oh golly, oh gee, that tickles!" Cressida looked all around her. That time she was sure it wasn't the wind. Then she noticed the ground shaking slightly. Cressida grabbed one more handful of sand. The laugh was even louder, and the ground trembled even more. Oh golly, gee, that tickles!" the voice cried out. "Who's there?" Cressida asked. She wondered if some magic canyon creature was hiding behind a cactus. "It's Danny," the voice said. "Danny the Dune." This is Danny the Dune. "Danny the Dune?" Cressida asked. "Where are you?" Danny the Dune laughed. "You're sitting on me," he said. Cressida looked down. All she saw was purple sand. And then the sand beneath her trembled, and the laughter grew even louder. Suddenly, the ground underneath her rose up, so she was sitting atop a small hill. Right below her legs, two big violet eyes opened, and a purple mouth curled into a smile. "Tricked ya, didn't I?" Danny said. "I bet you didn't know you were sitting on a dune." Cressida giggled with delight. "What's a dune?" "It's a sand hill. You've probably seen us at the beach, or maybe the last time you visited the desert." Cressida didn't have the heart to tell Danny the Dune she had never been to the desert, and she'd only been to the beach once, when she was 5. She didn't remember it well enough to know if she'd seen any sand dunes. "A few of us dunes live here, at the bottom of the Glitter Canyon." "I'm sorry I keep tickling you," Cressida said. "I'm looking for Sunbeam's yellow sapphire. Have you or any of the other dunes seen it?" Danny made a strange growling noise. "Well," he said, "I heard from Denise, who heard from Daryl, who heard from Doris, who heard from the twins, Dave and Devin, that the cacti have the yellow sapphire. They're hiding it from everyone. On purpose." Cressida figured that Denise, Daryl, Doris, Dave, and Devin were all dunes. "The cacti?" Cressida said. "Do the cacti talk too?" "Well," Danny said, sounding even angrier, "the cacti can talk, and they used to talk to us all day long. But after we told them to give the yellow sapphire back to Sunbeam, they told us they didn't have it, and then they stopped talking to us. It's awfully lonely down here in the canyon without any cacti to talk to. Cressida said. She could hear not just anger, but also hurt in Danny's voice. He sounded like he missed his friends, and she also got the feeling there was more to the story than what Danny had told her. Would you mind if I tried to talk to the cacti? She asked. Be my guest, Danny said. Maybe they'll tell you where they're hiding the yellow sapphire. And that is the end of chapter 6. Next time we will read chapter 7 and 8.